G'day. I'm going to work one of the grafting hives and that brood factory hive. It turns out I discovered something in the brood rearing hive which was not good news.
Food in that box. Got a mould. A pile of dead bees down in that corner. So this hive needs more ventilation. So if you see, this inner cover has got a hole in it and it's got a piece of mesh glued over it. And those bees have propolised up over the summer. That mesh was just hot glued onto there. There's the propolis. Tear it out. Notice also that the inner cover's got a notch. So that'll give them more ventilation. It means now that when I put that lid on. The sun's going down behind the house. I've got more hives around the front of the house to check as well. I think that'll be a different video. Now I've just pulled the lid off that, which unfortunately was out of camera shot, and I know this is a healthy hive without going any further because of the smell that came up out of it. Beautiful, sweet, healthy hive smell. I'm going to have a look anyway. Actually want to check the base. This hive's got the hive doctor on it, is that what they call it? I'll put the right name on the screen if it's not that. Plenty of weight in that box, which means there's plenty of food. This bottom box looks like it's pretty much empty, which is fine. So they've just moved up. But one of the things I noticed about this base, it's got a little gate on the front of it because it's a vented base, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. And normally you would close a vented base down in the winter time. I tried to, and that's why I couldn't, because the bottom is completely full. of junk. Of course, the effect is the same. It means the base was effectively closed. So I've closed it now. Wee bit of mould in there. Not too bad. Seems ironic, doesn't it? I'm closing off the base and yet there's mould in there. Now the other thing is this thing here. And it's still catching wasps. It's a wasp, but there's also a lot of dead bees in here. So I suppose, and what's interesting is the wasps are still alive and crawling, wriggling around. Probably about 5, 6, 7, 8, probably a dozen wasps in there. Which means they're still active in the middle of winter. This is the third time I've cleaned this out. And this is the least number of bees and wasps I've had in it. But remember, it's late July here, that's the middle of winter. So I had a question in my comments from Frederick Dunn about these bases. He said that his boxes have a little hole just here. That's not sitting down, so I haven't centered it properly. There we go. A little hole under here. Now I can only imagine why it is. I think probably his boxes are made of thinner wood or they're slightly longer. But it hasn't been a problem for me. This is the only one of these bases I've got. It's loaned to me by a friend just to try it out. I've done a review on it. Nothing that I said in that review has changed since then. Alright, the only other thing to do is check to see if there's any brood in here. One of these boxes is not square. I'm guessing it's the one I'm working on. It's a pretty average sort of a box. So as you can see there, nice solid frame of honey. More honey. Empty frame. Doesn't have brood on it. It's going to get moved. A little bit of pollen just there. Quite a small cluster, but not too bad. A little bit of brood there. There's a bee with deformed wing syndrome. She can get ejected from the hive. There's another one. So this hive has got some varroa problems. It's worth knowing. Treatments are going in the next week or so, but I think I should probably, by treatments I mean oxalic acid strips. Yeah, some quite bad deformed wing syndrome there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's brood in there hatching out. It's a reasonable population of bees. I'd give them a fighting chance to get through. I'm just going to need to really hammer them once the weather's improved a little bit. Didn't see a queen. I stopped looking because I got diverted by the deformed wing syndrome. This hive was right next to that hive, which was a massive varroa bomb. So it's not surprising that it's come through. But what's also dispels the myth that the beast blocker, that's the guard on the front, will protect a hive from varroa. Definitely doesn't do that. Protects it from wasps and robbers, but not varroa. And the reason for that is that the bees from this hive can pick up varroa mites while they're out and about. If they're out robbing or doing whatever they're doing. Drones can come and go in different hives, so there's a lot of ways that varroa can get into a hive even with that guard on the front. So I didn't see the queen down there, so I'll have a quick peek up here and see what's happening. Haven't used any smoke for a minute or two and these bees are starting to get a wee bit defensive. Honey, honey, honey. Looks like fresh nectar. So even though there weren't any bees down in that last box, there's quite a few up here. Eggs up here. A tiny little bit of cat brood, so the queen's been up. Oh, there she is. Yellow dot. All right. So what have we looked at here? We've looked at half of my home hives. We've seen one that's really strong, one that's average, one that was a bit weak that we boosted. We've seen the one that had collapsed and was the subject of another video, is trucking along not too bad, and it's eating down the solid sugar candy that I put on top of it. I have put sugar candy on the hive that was weak that I boosted, and I've got the hive right on the far end that's got 3/4 boxes in it that has a lot of varroa damage, deformed wing syndrome. All of these hives are going to get treated in the next week or two.
So that wraps up looking at those hives. In the next episode of the Queen Rearing series, I'm going to start prepping some of my commercial hives and getting them ready to be brood donors, both for populating mating hives and for making up nukes. If you want to follow along with the series, make sure that you're subscribed, and thanks for watching.